I am talking about the wealth of good character, of integrity, of coming from good stock.
What is your current relationship with the district attorney?
Just as outlined earlier, we are great friends. We speak regularly.
When did the romantic relationship between the two of you start?
Yeah, so...
Help me! Help me!
You know, we get into... There's been this effort to...
Do you could do so?
I'm getting signaled here.
What's going on, guys? So we got to talk about corrupt DA Fani Willis out here in Fulton County, Georgia, my stomping ground, unfortunately. So this lady went on this race baiting tirade today, and she was basically just talking about how racist America is and how hard it is to overcome and how strong and powerful she is as a black woman for overcoming so much trauma and strife. And then later on in the video, I'm gonna get to this hilarious interview where Nathan Wade just walks off his interview with Caitlin Collins of CNN because they asked him when their relationship started. But before we get to that, we gotta show some clips, or I'll show you some clips of DA Willis here race baiting at this speech at a church today. Take a look.
For not though checking those who unfairly attack African American women, but that same media will jump at the morsel of a chance to tear a sister down. Black women are sick and tired of being sick and tired. That you believe it is acceptable to sexualize and attack us. The black woman in America is the most unprotected person in our society. Apparently, talking about race annoys some. See, we are living in a time where we actually have lawmakers who want to teach that ripping people from their homeland, beating our men and our women, enslaving us and using our free labor, oh, that was a good thing. So it makes them mad when I speak from the perspective of an African American living an African American experience.
Bear in mind that this is after Judge Scott McAfee recommended her strongly to stop race baiting and talking about race so often. Now, here's why this is an obvious problem, which I think she's being stubborn and she's letting her pride and hubris run and control the show here, and why she shouldn't allow this to happen. Like, if you go back to Obama days, he didn't really talk that much about his race, and he didn't blame his race when things weren't going his way.
I think an unwillingness to acknowledge that progress has been made cuts off the possibility of further progress. If critics want to suggest that America is inherently and irreducibly racist, then why bother even working on it? I've seen change in my own life. So has this country. And those who would deny that, I think, actually foreclose the possibility of further progress rather than advancing it.
And this inevitably made him stronger and look a lot less biased, even though a lot of people, again, didn't like him as an individual. But when it comes to DA Fani Willis, she's over here in the middle of a major case against Donald Trump and a bunch of other co-defendants, where it is clearly a race war kind of going on between like black versus white, where people feel like it would be the justified thing to do to hold the white folks accountable. Inevitably, that's what this is really about. So the evidence isn't really going to matter in the end. You saw how things went in that rigged New York trial. The evidence isn't going to matter here in Georgia either. They're going to want to try to remove him and hold him accountable, whether he committed a crime or not, because it's probably going to be a blackety black jury who's black power, just like Fani Willis. So I strongly believe that there will be no ability to be impartial there out here in Fulton County, Georgia. Even if it could get appealed and all this stuff, the fact remains that it just doesn't seem like something that would be fair, especially when you got somebody talking about race and God every chance that they get, basically saying, well, we're the good guys, we're the oppressed, we're the godly ones, and these other people are the evil ones, and they're the oppressors, and they're using God as a crutch.
You had people who claimed to be God-loving and God-fearing and God-obedient that prayed over the slave ships and kept slaves. Oh, I'm talking about being black in America again. They probably gonna be mad.
So she's talking about all these unrighteous people. Meanwhile, she's the one who's having this extramarital affair with the married Nathan Wade, the guy who's literally still married till this day. And you'll see later on in this interview that Fani and Nathan Wade are still talking. She even brings up her dad and how great and awesome of a man he is, but he's clearly a racist person.
See, my daddy, in case you didn't know, is a strong, educated, conscious black man. I am talking about the wealth of good character, of integrity, of coming from good stock, and of knowing God.
Flashback.
After the election, I was so pissed off at that. How could this Texas cracker come here and run the black community? I was just livid about. Who are you referring to? Jesse Hunter, Big Daddy Fat Texas cracker, okay? Hunter, okay? Him, okay?
And all this talk about slavery, this, that, and the third, like, Fani, like, you weren't even there, okay? Like, we know what the history is, but she's talking about this stuff as if we literally, like, we just got off the freaking boats or something. Like, we still got the scars on our wrists and ankles from being in chains. Like, Fani Willis acts like she literally got picked up from freaking somewhere in Nigeria or something and dropped off in America. Like, you didn't go through that stuff. That's ancestral trauma, and you can carry some of that today because it's history, but you certainly can't try to act like, well, it's relevant today in how you're treated, as though, like, I mean, you're the freaking DA of Fulton County. Like, how bad can they possibly be treating you here?
So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, every now and then you get to stop and smell the roses. And tonight we're gonna stop and smell these roses. We are going to celebrate. We're gonna party. The DA drinking Grey Goose, in case anybody wondering. Kind of DA down here in the dirty, dirty South.
I get sick of people trying to correlate racism in America, racism that occurred previously during the transatlantic slave trade, all the way up through civil rights movement, Jim Crow. You come all the way to 2024, and then you're still acting like all this stuff happened yesterday. Yes, I understand that there hasn't been a whole lot of time since there was kind of these bigger racist initiatives, but I do think it's relevant to acknowledge that where we're at today is very, very different than where we were at historically. Fani Willis doesn't want to recognize that because she wants to have an appeal to emotional, especially in a church. Like, it's some of the most emotional people, some of the most irrational people that there is. Like, I'm a Christian, God-loving individual, but I'm definitely not a church-loving person because of people like you can see, like you just saw on your screen, because a lot of these people don't know what the heck's going on in the world. They have no clue, and they're seeking guidance because they're lost, which I guess is fair. Everybody's in a different part of their journey, okay? But DA Willis is out here doing an extreme amount of race baiting because she really has nothing else. Without further ado, I want to go ahead and react to this interview with Caitlin Collins where she's just having a casual conversation with Nathan Wade, mentioned a couple Fani Willis questions, and then he just suddenly is like, wait a minute, I got somebody talking to me in the corner here. So let's go ahead and take a look.
What is your current relationship with the district attorney?
Just as outlined earlier, we are great friends. We speak regularly.
You know what that means, right? Cheeks getting clapped, okay? Regularly cheek clapping, because if somebody's an attorney, they don't have time to just sit around, especially she still got to work through the Donald Trump case, the YSL case, probably all kinds of other stuff going on. How the hell you got time to have friends who you talk to regularly and y'all ain't even getting it on? And you already know Nathan Wade is he's definitely a brother. So if ain't nothing really happening with that, you already know he gonna be on his way. he ain't got, us dudes out here ain't got time for friends either. Okay, we either getting some or we moving on. I'm just keeping it 1,000 with you.
You know, the conversation has changed though, you know, whereas before our conversations were about this case. I'm sure you could imagine and appreciate the amount of time that it takes, that, you know, you have to pour into a case a case of this magnitude, trying to prosecute those defendants. But our conversations have shifted to how are you handling the threats that are coming your way? Are you being safe? And, you know,
trying to play the sympathy card. I mean, this is a case that y'all brought up yourself, so it doesn't really make sense. I mean, they could have tried to do this case at a later time. They specifically wanted to get Trump as part of election interference, which is the reason why they timed it specifically to kick into place right around the time that the election was going to take place. And also, this occurred after Trump announced that he was running for president again.
Democracy, the case will live on, kind of thing.
Just to clarify, when did the romantic relationship between the two of you start?
Yeah, so
look at his face.
There's been this effort to say that, okay, these exact dates are at issue, and these exact dates are. I'm getting signaled here.
Look at this, guys.
Yeah, take it. Want to go off mic for a second?
Yes.
Okay. Go off mic for a second.
Look at this timing.
Keep rolling.
Yeah, keep rolling. Don't stop now.
And these idiots didn't stop the He's just going over to a corner and having a quick whisper in the middle of an interview, right when the question's asked about when the relationship started. Interesting. Come on, guys. Fani Willis is out here trying to say she's the righteous one. Look at this cover up. How is this okay? If you're a member of the clergy, how is this okay? The churches are supporting these two. Fani Willis,
okay?
Yeah.
Just to revisit the question, it was to clarify when the romantic relationship started and when it ended.
Sure. So, you know, I believe that the public has, through the testimony and other interviews, the public has a clear snapshot that this is clearly just a distraction. It is not a relevant issue in this case, and I think that we should be focusing on more of the facts and the indictment in the case.
So you notice how his answer kind of shifted? He actually kind of was looking like he was kind of talking about some of the details and speculation about it, but now he's just saying, oh, it's a distraction. Like, he's got a much more like kind of literal, like a very court appropriate response, right? Like if he's on trial, he's delivering that type of response. Before he was talking more casually, now he's a little bit more stonewallish, which he should be. But the fact that anybody's trying to act like him and Fani are innocent of what they were basically being accused of in the motion to dismiss her is just astounding. You should really be ashamed of yourself if you're trying to support these people for openly lying, stealing money from voters. Okay, I pay my taxes, and these people are literally using my money, not doing a damn thing for every stuff I need them to do. I request stuff all the time, and they don't do a damn thing. But they're stealing money, and this dude got practically $1 million freaking dollars to try to prosecute Donald Trump, and didn't even do that right.
Well, I ask because obviously it's still a pending matter. It's going to be before the Court of Appeals, and you talked about how proud you were of all the work that you did in this office. And I think the question that people have when they hear from the Court of Appeals, this isn't happening until next spring, is did the relationship jeopardize that work that you did in this investigation?
And therein lies the issue, why we wouldn't touch upon the work of the Court of Appeals or some higher court, because it's a pending issue before them. I think that we should allow them, take a step back and allow them to take the evidence that they have and do their work, make the decision.
Right, but you did testify to this, and you were asked about, on the stand, about when it started and when it ended. it just wasn't completely clear because before it said before the indictment, which was August 15th here in Atlanta, and then later the answer was at the end of that year. And so I think that was the clarity that people were seeking of when it started and when it ended.
Sure, and there again, there's a question before the court, and that is the crux of the question. I don't choose to say or do anything that would jeopardize the case or the court's ruling. I prefer to allow them to make their decision based upon what they have, and accept it.
Yeah, we got literally, what was it, 2,000 text messages and 1,200 phone calls, something like that they discovered on the cell tower. I already did videos about this, so check those out if you haven't already. Or you could literally Google Nathan Wade, 2,000 text messages, 1,200 phone calls. You can Google it, okay? Like, they found his cell phone connected to the cell tower before the time that Fani Willis and Nathan Wade said that they were hooking up before the cheek clapping time, okay, before the legs wide shut time. They discovered that these two were having lots of communications and that his cell phone was connecting over where she was staying at, and it was coming over at like 3 o'clock in the morning and leaving at like 6 a.m. basically booty calls. And these dummies in the church sitting up here and fully supporting her. It's like, these people got no morals or something? Y'all hate white folks that bad? Like, what is going on? Like, what is happening in America where this is seen as okay? And Fani Willis is out here trying to pressure people to vote as if it's the right thing, as like a clapback against the whites, because this whole thing that she gave earlier was a big race bait.
That means you are required to mobilize, to educate, to stay engaged, and to vote.
Pressuring people to vote against these people. I say, look, if you want to keep making sure that Fani Willis gets to take a bunch of voters' money and give $1 million of it over to Nathan Wade so she could go on trips, if you want to fund Fani Willis's trips and make sure she has a good time and good life on taxpayers' backs, mostly a bunch of poor and broke people, okay, and I'm included, I'm amongst these people. If that's what you want to do, then fine, go ahead and vote for Fani Willis. But if you like, hey, I don't want millions of dollars to go towards corruption, where you just gonna sit up in court and lie, I paid them in cash, and you over here just having this fantastic booty call life, all of these lavish trips where it's just cheek clapping going on each and every single day, fanny clapping every day off of taxpayer dollars, illegal immigration running rampant, prices high as hell. If that's what you want, you already know who to vote for. If you're tired of that, you already know what to do. Vote these clowns out of office. Stop the corruption. We deserve better in Fulton County. Fani Willis and crew ain't it. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate y'all watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
And her lover, Nathan Wade. And they hired him for almost $1 million because of his great experience. Of course, he didn't have any experience. He had experience in something else. You know that. A lot of experience.